What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Roger Rabbit. Now, if you've read the title and you've clicked on the video, I just want to assure you this isn't your generic video about Game Boy, of me like going over Game Boy products and things like that. This is much more surreal than that. There is something absolutely insane about some of the products that Game Boy has invented. And I don't mean insane as in, yo, this is really, really good. I mean insane as in, who fathomed such a concept? So let's kick things off, shall we? The Game Boy was released in 1989.
Introducing Game Boy. It's portable, it's in stereo, and its games are interchangeable. Plus, Game Boy comes with the outrageous new game, Tetris.
And revolutionized the gaming industry by being one of the first truly handheld gaming consoles. Key titles like Tetris, Pokemon, and Super Mario Land propelled the Game Boy's popularity, solidifying its place in gaming history. Except for Elmo and Grouchland on the Game Boy Color, that was bloody dreadful. Now, have you guys ever Googled Game Boy accessories? Some of them are pretty cool. A couple of examples would be the Game Boy camera and printer.
I live with aliens. I can prove it. My Game Boy camera reveals all. They landed on Earth, and 4 alien life forms moved into my house.
Which I remember having back in the day, and it was sick. Essentially, it was a cartridge that you slammed into your Game Boy and you could take pictures and then eventually print them. The pictures weren't great, but then you could also add like little accessories on it and things like that, which I remember so vividly. It's wasting so many hours of my life actually doing. I wasn't doing anything with the pictures after, I was just kind of leaving them there and then laughing every 5 minutes. Game Boy Pocket Sonar, which was made by Bandai and used to locate fish. Real fish. Up to 20 meters underwater. Of all the things, man. Of all the add-ons. You had the Super Game Boy.
It's Super Game Boy from Nintendo!
Which was a plug-in cartridge for the NES that allowed you to play your Game Boy games on the TV.
Play your Game Boy games on the Super NES in living color. Even choose your own color combinations. Play all 350 Game Boy games. How does that strike you?
The Game Link cable that allowed you to play with a friend on the Game Boy, fucking hell. Or the Game Boy 4-player adapter that allowed you to play with 3 other friends if all 3 of them had a Game Boy and you all had the same game and their own cable. Sweet Jesus, how we've evolved. You had the Game Boy battery pack, which was like a cement brick strapped to your Game Boy, but at least you could play it for longer, I guess. Then you had the Joy Plus Handy Boy, which is an official all-in-one accessory and manufactured by STD. And then on the Game Boy Color, you had the mobile adapter, which essentially was just to connect your mobile for remote play. There was a goddamn sewing machine, which you could connect to your Game Boy Color and the cartridges that came with the machine. And you could embroider various letters and shapes, and was designed to be a control interface, not a game. But you can embroider things like Mario characters and things like that. Bro, a sewing machine. You had the magic card that changed the color of a Game Boy game on a Game Boy Color. Boombox Boy, which essentially was just a radio add-on. But then we get to the Game Boy Advance. And let me tell you, this is batshit crazy. You had the Game Boy Player, which allowed you to play previous Game Boy games on the TV through your GameCube.
Gameboy Player. GameCube にセットするだけで新しいゲームのスタイルが始まります。
But then, hang on a minute. What's this? Behold, the Pedisedate.
Our solution helps children cope with traumatic situations by giving them control.
What the hell is this, you may be asking? Well, I'm glad you asked, but at the same time, I'm so sorry you asked. So essentially, the Pedisedate was a pair of headphones with a mask attached to the front of it. And I think you can already guess where this is going. It was designed so that children in the hospital could feel less stressed about being in the hospital, and while they were playing their Game Boy Advance,
When it's time for the procedure, the doctor benefits from a convenient method of delivering nitrous oxide.
the mask would slowly release anesthetic gas to put them to sleep.
The doctor can perform the surgical procedure without having to use restraints. After a brief recovery time, the child has only a vague memory of the procedure.
I am sorry, but this is the wildest thing. Believe it or not, this was actually patented. This was scheduled to release. This was actually something that was going to hit the market. Luckily, it didn't.
The pediatric sedation headset blurs the border between procedure and play.
Someday you wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind.
Essentially, imagine combining a Game Boy with a gas mask. It's a horror movie. But in the early 2000s, someone thought this was an incredible idea. This is by far one of the most bizarre and creepiest medical gadgets I've ever heard. of. The Pedisedate was designed to make medical procedures less scary for kids. The idea was to combine entertainment with anesthesia, creating a less traumatic experience for kids. Naturally, it was a controversial product. Critics were quick to raise concerns over the product. Is it ethical to design sedation as playtime? What if the child associates gaming with sedation later on in life? And then there was also a question of safety, seen as administering nitrous oxide through a colourful gaming headset feels unconventional. So those are the main reasons as to why it never actually released. Not to mention that if anyone got their hands on one of these outside of the hospital, it could be really fucking dangerous. It's safe to say that it never really gained mainstream traction, and it just slowly faded away from existence. Gone, but never forgotten, not with us kids around. So do I think it was a good idea? No, I think it's a terrible idea. I think you couldn't make a worse idea without physically adding a hammer as an accessory to a Game Boy and knocking the kid out directly. But somehow the concept was there, and somehow someone thought this would be genius. And many people thought this would be genius, until the public, who is actually in touch with the rest of the world, decided this is a bit weird. And everyone sat on their large stack of money somewhere up in the sky suddenly just went, oh, that's what the floor looks like. It's very different down here. People actually use common sense. People hate this idea because it's dangerous. Yes. Yes. But wait, there's more. So somewhere, and I can't find it for the life of me, I found an article that rumours, if there's someone on the internet that can confirm or deny it for me, there were 2 more accessories for the Game Boy that never actually made it out into the market. One of them being the Game Boy Aromatherm, being able to play the game through smell as well. So if you're playing like The Legend of Zelda and whatnot, and you're in a forest, and you can actually smell the trees and the musk and things like that, and then you get fucking slapped with an inexplicable whiff of citrus. So essentially there'd be some small vents that would blow warm or cool air, supposedly matching the game's ambiance, meaning it was either an icy breeze up in a snow level or it was a goddamn scorpion up your nose during a desert level. And there was a button that allowed for blended scents for a personalized experience, although most of the time it ended in nauseating combinations like burning metal and banana. Like I said, it could be a rumor, it might be an official thing. If there's anyone on the internet that can confirm that, please. If there's anyone that can discover this, it's the internet. And the second accessory was a headband with electrodes that monitors your brainwaves. And then it would change the difficulty of the game based on the mood you're in. And it was supposed to help focus and mental health through game-based neurofeedback. But if anyone's got a wandering mind, you might see your character jump off the goddamn cliff. Or who knows, maybe you can even get your character to just ping off into space. How cool would that be? You can literally get your character to do anything you want with your mind. Get your head out the gutter. I'm thinking hilarious, not perverted. Unless it's penis jokes, then it's hilarious and perverted. The device would read your emotions and then tweak the game accordingly. I'm not quite sure if that means that it would get harder if you're feeling anxious, or the other way around. Because imagine being stressed out playing Tetris and all of a sudden the game just throws 5 blocks at you out of the blue. And that they were even trying to do a Dreamlink add-on thing, which connected to your dreams while you sleep and then turned it into playable levels the next day. It genuinely sounds like something out of a goddamn horror movie. But that the idea came along as more of a marketing gimmick rather than a scientific technology that they could actually do. And that the first tests of this device did not go to plan. Out-the-box thoughts kind of malfunctioned the actual device itself. For instance, if you were doing a boss battle and thinking about lunch, the device would blow up and you'd die because it didn't know what a salmon roll looks like. Again, like I said, this could be completely fake. It sounds fucking bizarre, so I'm not too sure if to believe it or not. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. The idea was probably there, but the attempt at actually making it was probably just a clunky mess that just didn't work, and that's probably why it canned. But again, if there's anyone that's actually liked work for Game Boy, or maybe knows the ins and outs of Game Boy, has an inside scoop with Game Boy or something, I don't know. Let me know if this is an actual thing, because it's sick, to be fair. Like, later down the line, this could be amazing, even though people suffer more now with ADHD than anything. That said, that's everything I have for you guys today. Let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know if there's anything else I should tackle. And let me know, would you ever buy a Pedisedate? I think I would, just because it's such a relic and I know how rare it is. Because I feel like they designed them, they made them, but they just never hit the market. Therefore, they're somewhere just sitting there. And it's probably one of the most valuable things in the world. So I need one. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy Romeo and Juliet. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.